My question is around like the sales operation piece. Like for me, I've created like different SOPs and what's worked for me over the past 12 months, but I suppose I'm coming at it from a different angle. I've kind of joined an agency where they've got good systems in place, but more so for like tracking the closer side of things. And for the setters, it's a little bit fend for yourself. So yeah, I don't know. What kind of key systems would you, I mean, it's a really different question, really difficult question, but maybe can help as well. But
Mhm.
I think I've got to go through it on my end again just to really be crystal clear on what's worked for me. But I know you've shared systems and stuff as well. That's helped. But I mean, is there any key ones that you'd be like, right, okay, that should be in place if you were going to go and do it on a
Yeah.
different offer?
So when I look at an offer, I'm thinking, right, if I'm an appointment setter here, what am I criticizing? And I'm going to be like, I'm going to imagine being like kind of a setter mystery shopper. So if I
Yeah.
come into an offer, I'm going to, let's say, pretend to be an appointment setter. What am I going to immediately notice and pick out that's definitely not going to help me perform at the highest level? And the first thing that I look at when it comes to systems is how is the onboarding process? Like, how is the first impression? Because typically those first like 4 days, 5 days, the first working week essentially lets me
Yeah.
know how the quality of that offer is, and it's the very reason why I might stay there for a very long time, or give it more time while it's working on something versus just like leave immediately. So that's going to be for me at least the biggest needle mover. So that's why what I would do, I would go through on the system setup drive the training roadmap document
Yeah.
and then look at what you've got in place for onboarding a setter and see, is there anything that I'm missing? Is there any of these documents that I can add to the setter training?
Mm.
With this document format, can I make it so that it's like an internal course for the offer? So that when a setter comes on, there's actually a course, for that specific offer for appointment setting, right? Makes it seem really, really niche and dialed
Nice.
in.
Yeah.
Because most people assume that like the sales courses are external. I mean, there's no training internally for the offer apart from, sales huddles. But when there's an actual course for the offer alongside like 4 trainings a week or 3 trainings a week, however many you do,
Yeah.
that's super dialed in. And it also helps you save time. It's like if the setter is asking about a specific scenario or how to navigate certain parts of the text, like, well, did you look at this document? This was should have been covered in the onboarding. Can you go through that again?
Mm.
They just refer back to the training each time.
Okay.
Takes a lot of load off of you. And you're testing setters' ability to think independently. A lot of setters are just wanting to ask questions about everything, right? And understand every little detail, ways to think through things. But what you want is a setter that does think independently, that can kind of figure it out. If you give them all of the tools, then they can make it work for them. It gives you less work as a setter manager, right? And so that's obviously the part of like top talent coming into place with it as well. So one thing that you could do, yourself being a top setter, you can kind of come in and audit the onboarding process, how that looks compared to like the systems drive that I've got. Even let's say if you have a top performing setter that come in to have a look at the current systems you've got set up and give you like an external eye, then they can point out, oh, why is this not there? That should be there. Even some of the setter leaders that I've got on the WhatsApp group that I've put in that screenshot, get them to give you an audit of what you're seeing as well, right? So I would just add in external perspectives and then use that training document to see what the direct comparison is with the way you guys on board. That's a needle mover.
Cool.
But then again, that's one facet, right? Was there any other parts of the systems you were thinking that you wanted to work on?
Potentially when they're in the role and they're, needing to track certain data or because
Hmm.
I know you guys talk about data a lot. And we definitely don't operate from that kind of perspective.
Hmm.
It's
My,
just
my
kind of,
first thing, I mean, so are you saying from like a setter's point of view or setter manager? Because there's different data points you're working with. Setters individually just need their own
yeah,
metrics, which is easy.
yeah.
But setter leaders is a little bit different.
I think it's probably just the setter to start with.
Yeah,
But I know that I guess that's kind of like your close rate, set to die, that all that stuff.
yeah. I also like, I mean, if you saw my Facebook post the other day, I said about if you guys are not using ratios rather than percentages, like what are you doing? So one thing that I think that you can help setters kind of play to their own advantage with their performance is their actual ratios, right? And I do for example, so there's dial to set ratio. So how many dials does it take to get to a set? Um, Set to close ratio. It's another thing that I look at as well. If someone's taking inbound triages, Then I do triages scheduled to close ratio, and then triages taken to close ratio. So I've just put that there in the chat. I look at these very specifically because it will tell me overall how many leads do I need to exhaust in order for someone to get to give a return to the business. And if I'm really dialed in with marketing and I know like what the cost per lead that comes in, like cost per opt-in, and I understand that, I can understand what that person is actually costing the business. If, for example, let's say on the team with right, let's say that set to close rate, well, let's put triages taken to closes is like 4 triages taken for every 1 close, and there's like one person that's got, I think at the moment it's got like 7 or 8 to 1, right? So I'm thinking exhausting more of our resources. Where can we look to pivot? Like, you know, who can do the roles? He can analyze it himself and figure out, well, what am I doing? Am I over DQing leads? Am I under DQing? Do I need to improve something in my discovery? So these ratios will give setters another eye as to how effective they are with the leads that they actually get. And it makes them focus on like, am I actually exhausting every single opportunity that I have, or am I just wasting it? Right? Because a lot of setters will just they don't see it from the side of the business where you pay for every single lead. And you want to create a team culture where every lead feels like it's paid for. It's like the actual setters paid to acquire it themselves. Because if they did, they would treat it way more seriously. Right. So that's the kind of culture I'm creating. If you paid for the lead, how much are you wasting right now with your current activities and the way you're taking calls? So I look at those ratios specifically. And if they can analyze that in their own performance, that makes your job really easy also as a manager because they're on top of their data as well.
Sure. Yeah.